So for the partner or spouse objection, just like with timing, it's always best if you can flesh this out and ask a key question or two during the discovery. Because, for example, if you identify during the discovery that not all of the relevant decision makers are present during the call, it almost always makes sense to reschedule, not necessarily reschedule, but schedule a second call before you do your pitch. That way you can bring all relevant parties, all relevant decision-making parties onto the call before you do the pitch. And that way you can make sure you get any questions answered that they might have. But let's say you already went through the pitch and then they bring this up at the tail end of the call. So for example, if they say something like, I need to speak to my wife about it, you could say something to the effect of, and you want to like acknowledge or kind of like disarm them, like, totally hear you, man. 100%. I get where you're coming from. Don't have to use both, but use one or the other. And then the question that I like to ask here specifically for the spouse is, and you could bring this up with partner as well, but you obviously know your partner, spouse, whomever better than I do. Out of curiosity, do they support you in your business, or are they typically not really involved in any of the day-to-day decision making? Because if they're not involved in the day-to-day decision making, their opinion doesn't actually matter, okay? The only time it would matter is if the prospect making a decision without the consent of the other person would cause a legitimate strain on the relationship. Okay, that's the only time that a partner/spouse objection is valid. And again, you want to do your best to identify whether or not all of the relevant decision makers are present during this call. That way you can avoid that objection in its entirety.